Well, it's time for our health report. Joining us now is Africa 54 Health correspondent Lino Mudu with part two of our exclusive interview with Melinda Gates, a co-founder of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Lino.
Thanks, Vincent. Melinda Gates elaborates on some of the progress made in women's health, including more access to reproductive health tools for women around the world.
Well, for the first time in history, there are 300 million women in developing countries on contraceptives. We've never had that before. Now, there's a global goal to get 120 million women voluntary access to contraceptives by the year 2020. And so the right groundwork is being laid for that. That is, governments are looking at their supply chain issues and saying, okay, do we have all the tools that a woman might want, whether it's a long-acting tool or a short-acting contraceptive? Have we fixed the supply chain so that contraceptives are not just in the capital city, but out in the remote rural areas? Are we making sure we have the right policies so that, the newer tools that have come along that are easier to use and have fewer side effects, women have access? And lastly, are we doing the cultural piece to educate men and women and even the religious leaders of why contraceptives actually make healthier families? And so I'm seeing countries take all of those steps. It's taking some time. Different countries are further ahead in different pieces of that, but I'm very encouraged by the groundwork that's being laid.
How do you think that men can be part of the solution when it comes to addressing the issue of contraceptives?
What we're seeing is that the men will buy into the idea of contraceptives when they understand that their children will be healthier. If you say to a man, we know that your child is 35% more likely to make it to their first birthday if the spacing has been by 3 years, and twice as likely to make it to their 5th birthday. Most dads that I have met all over the world are interested in having healthy children. We also talk to them about the fact that the wife will be healthier. And again, we know from great studies that if those births are spaced, the family is ultimately wealthier. And so when men start to understand that, why that spacing is so important and so beneficial, then they start to buy in. But again, you have to talk to them in ways that are interesting and understandable to them, and that has to be done in the right cultural context, which is different in different countries in Africa.
Now, there's a saying that a healthy baby starts with a healthy mother. Is this why women's health is so important to you as well?
Absolutely. So we know that if a child is, for instance, fed properly in what we call their first 1,000 days of life, which actually means at the start of conception, all the way through the pregnancy, so the mom being fed properly and then the child being fed properly, it means that that child can grow up to reach their full potential, both cognitively and developmentally. And I think, Bill and I believe that every child in the world should have the chance at a healthy start and a chance to lead a life that leads to their full potential.
Some people say that women have come a long way around the world economically and socially. One example is when we look at the MDGs, the literacy rate has improved globally from 83% to 91% between 1990 and 2015, and the gap between women and men has narrowed among youth aged 15 to 24. How do you assess the status of women and girls, particularly in Africa?
Well, I would say that women and girls, we are absolutely making progress. The statistics that you just cited are right. I think we need to accelerate that progress. We need to intensify it and we need to accelerate it. There is not yet parity for women in any country around the world, including my own. And until we reach parity on everything, we are not there yet. So I think continuing to make investments on behalf of women, making sure in particular in some African countries, despite the statistics getting better, they're absolutely better at the primary level. And as you pointed out, they're getting better at the secondary level. But there are still many places where a girl is pulled out of school early and she doesn't actually get to complete secondary school. And a quality education is incredibly important to everything we're discussing.